After the end of World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
And so it begins. So, Metal Gear Solid 3 is, I'd say, the best in the series in terms of story. I know that's popular opinion among many fans, so I really hope you all enjoy this game. It's gonna be a hell of a trip. Definitely one that's going to be emotional. So yeah. Alright. First bit of trivia I guess I have here is flying in on a AC-130 here, so I'm sure a lot of you guys who have played many other video games recognize this aircraft, since it's very popular, being a pretty much artillery gunship. It derived from the Lockheed C-130 Hercules. I've heard a few stories about it since my father's ridden in one of these things before during the Vietnam War.
Put out that cigar. Connecting oxygen hose to interior connector. Put on your mask. Does this panty waste know what he's doing?
Approaching release point.
10 minutes to drop off.
Hey, are you deaf?
He said put out the cigar and put on your mask.
Alright. Waste of a cigar though. I don't smoke, but I know those aren't cheap.
Depressurization complete.
Checking oxygen supply.
6 minutes to drop off. Opening rear hatch.
Sunrise.
External temperature minus 46 degrees Celsius. 2 minutes to drop off.
That's
Stand
cold.
up.
You'll be falling at 130 miles per hour. Try not to get frostbite from the wind chill.
1 minute to drop off. Move to the rear.
Activate bailout model.
This is one for the history books. The world's first Halo jump.
So for those of you guys who don't know, HALO stands for High Altitude Low Opening.
Status okay. All green.
Prepare for drop off. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Spread your wings
And fly. God be with you.
Alright, here goes. Directed by Hideo Kojima, legendary game developer.
Jack, I've got some important news.
Okay, so on to our mission briefing here.
Virtuous mission.
Virtual mission.
It's going to be touching base on a few points of history along with our mission. So one of the things I love about the Metal Gear games is how it sort of spins off from our real life history.
Right. So what exactly is this wonderful mission?
Well, about 2 years ago, a certain Soviet scientist requested asylum in the West through one of our moles. His name is Nikolai Stepanovich Sokolov. He's head of the OKB-754 Design Bureau, one of the Soviets' top-secret weapon research facilities, and the East's foremost expert on weapons development.
Sokolov. Isn't he that famous rocket scientist?
The very same. On April the 12th, 1961, the Soviets achieved the first manned spaceflight in history.
The Earth was blue, but there was no God.
Well spoken. The rocket that carried Yuri Gagarin into orbit was the A-1, known as the Vostok rocket. Sokolov is said to be the man most responsible for the multi-engine cluster used in that rocket. After Gagarin's flight, Sokolov left rocket development to become the head of the newly established Design Bureau.
From a lowly technician to head of a design bureau, that's quite a success story, so why do you want to defect?
It seems he'd become afraid of his own creations.
Afraid?
Call it a crisis of conscience.
And for that, he left his country and his family behind and went over the fence?
Not exactly. One of his conditions was that his family was also to be taken safely to the west. We used a mole to get the family out first and succeeded in sneaking Sokolov over the Berlin Wall shortly afterwards. I was the one who conducted the operation.
The security on the eastern side was still full of holes back then. Then what?
We got Sokolov over in one piece, but the whole ordeal had left him exhausted, and we checked him into a hospital in West Berlin. It took him 2 weeks and more than 600 miles to get from the research facility in the Soviet Union to Berlin. He was in no condition to say anything coherent. And it was only a week later that we had something much bigger on our hands.
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
October the 16th, 1962, President Kennedy received word that the Soviets were in the process of deploying intermediate-range ballistic missiles in Cuba. The President demanded that the Soviets dismantle and remove the missiles. At the same time, he announced a naval blockade to prevent further missile shipments from reaching Cuba. But the Soviets didn't back down, instead placing their armed forces on secondary alert. Soviet transport ships carrying missiles continued on course towards Cuba. US and Soviet forces went on alert for an all-out nuclear war. Frantic negotiations were conducted through the UN's Emergency Security Council and unofficial channels to end the hair-trigger standoff. Finally, on October the 28th, the Soviet Union agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba. And so the world avoided a nuclear holocaust. But in order to get the Soviets to pull their missiles out, we had to make a deal.
You mean the one where the US agreed to remove its IRBMs from Turkey?
No. The Jupiter IRBMs deployed in Turkey were obsolete, and we were going to get rid of them anyway. They had no strategic value whatsoever to either the US or the Russians. The Turkey deal was a ruse, a cover story that was fed to the other intelligence agencies around the world.
So what did the Russians really want?
Sokolov. They wanted us to return Sokolov.
You mean the Soviets pulled out of Cuba just to get their hands on Sokolov?
That's right.
What the hell was he working on?
A weapon that predates Metal Gear.
We were running out of time. It was either give up Sokolov or risk full-scale nuclear war. In the end, we had no choice. President Kennedy gave in to Khrushchev's demand. The next day, I got Sokolov out of the hospital, handing him over to agents on the eastern side. Sokolov kept on screaming, "Save me," until he disappeared from my sight. Then a month ago, we received some new information from one of our moles.
About Sokolov?
Yes. He was taken back to the research facility and forced to continue working on the weapon in question under KGB supervision. What's more, it's on the verge of completion.
So what kind of weapon is it? Something to do with space rockets?
No, missiles.
Same technology.
I guess you're right. We don't know the details, but it appears to be a new kind of nuclear device. For half a year now, the Soviets have been conducting frequent nuclear tests at Semipalatinsk.
Something to do with the weapon, I assume.
We're talking about a secret weapon so big that Khrushchev was ready to pull out of Cuba to get it back.
Is Sokolov still in the facility?
No. According to our intelligence, he's in Selinoyarsk, a place in the mountains about 3 miles to the west that's known as the Virgin Cliffs.
So, I just remembered one little odd
Nice name for a virtuous mission.
They moved him there
point
just
with
recently.
this game.
Why?
So the setting of the game is primarily a jungle environment, which is really weird because Russia doesn't have any jungles, obviously.
This is our last chance. Sokolov
They
must
have
known
forests
that too,
and mountains, so I don't know why Kojima chose to use a jungle setting for this game, but it's odd. I don't really have an explanation for it. There might be a few others out there. I don't know. The fan base has a lot of theories. If you want a lot of in-depth Metal Gear lore on the more complex aspects of the game, check out Futrasound Productions. His video essays on the Metal Gear series are phenomenal and very good if you want to learn more about the complex aspects of the game.
If we don't get Sokolov back before that weapon is complete, we'll be facing a major crisis. The clock is ticking. Once we've confirmed the rescue of Sokolov, stand by at the recovery point. A recovery balloon will be dropped at that point. Helium will be pumped into the balloon to inflate it. The process takes about 20 minutes. Once it's complete, the gunship's arm will latch onto the balloon and pull it up.
The Fulton surface-to-air recovery system.
Okay, so the Fulton recovery system, it doesn't work like how it does in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker or Metal Gear Solid 5, where a balloon just magically pops up and pulls you up into the air. A more accurate portrayal of how it works is shown in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. You see Batman using it when he travels to Hong Kong to capture that one mobster.
Even with the fuel in the reserve tank, we're facing a 4-hour time limit. If all goes well, it shouldn't take more than a few hours.
Home in time for dinner.
But if anything goes wrong, you'll be eating dinner, breakfast, and all the rest of your meals in the jungle.
Crap. Just lost our backpack.
Do you copy? You're already in enemy territory, and somebody might be listening in. From here on out, we'll be using code names to refer to each other. Your code name for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. You're not to mention your real name.
Snake?
What, you don't like snakes?
What do you mean?
You've eaten one before, haven't you?
In survival training.
I'm glad to hear that.
I don't know if I'd ever order one in a restaurant, but...
Be careful, you might not have a choice.
What about you, Major? What should I call you?
Let's see. I'll be Tom. Call me Major Tom. This will be a sneaking mission. You must not be seen by the enemy. You must leave no trace of your presence. Is that clear? This kind of infiltration is the Fox unit's speciality. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked, just as your name implies.
Great. Now I see why you asked me if I like snakes. I suppose calling me Snake was your idea of a joke, too.
No, there's a good reason for that. I'll tell you later when the time is right.
Gotcha. Getting back to the subject, how exactly am I supposed to feed myself?
You've been issued a knife and a tranquilizer gun. Use them to hunt for food. You'll also find some medical
What?
supplies
I'll
in
get
your
a spork?
backpack.
Aw.
Yeah, about the backpack. I lost it in a tree on the way down.
I see. Well, you'd better go back and get it then. You know where it is?
No problem. I can see it from here. It's stuck on a branch.
To climb a tree, stand in front of a tree that's covered in ivy and press the action button.
Major?
I'll be monitoring your progress over the radio.
What's an action button?
We can't risk
These
violating
buttons you
Soviet
keep talking
airspace,
about?
but I'll be in the gun chute. My frequency is 140.85.
Okay, so
I'll
that's
give you a
the
call
frequency
if I need to
that's
talk to you.
often always
You need to
used
talk to me,
for
use the send function.
the commanding
Snake. Go
officers
get your
in the
backpack.
Metal Gear games. Yeah, you don't actually have to memorize the frequencies. They're automatically marked down for you in the codec, or radio in this case. So yeah, you all just got to experience the infamous movie-long cutscenes with the Metal Gear games. The reason why they are that long is because Hideo Kojima, the director and developer of like the Metal Gear games, originally wanted to be a movie director, but he never got into the industry. He couldn't get into the industry, or at least I think he saw a better future in game development or something like that, but essentially he wanted to work for Nintendo, but they didn't hire him, so he ended up working for Konami instead.
I see you've retrieved your backpack, Snake.
Okay, get ready for another long one here,
To
guys.
equip a weapon, it's necessary to take it out of your backpack. In the survival viewer, choose Weapon from the backpack. Your available weapons will be displayed in a
Yep,
window
this is how
in the upper
I
left.
equip
From that
my
list, choose the
everyday
weapon
stuff
you want
whenever
to
I open my
equip and press the
backpack
Enter
at
button.
work, or
For other equipped
Whatnot.
items, just do the same thing from items.
menu just magically pops up
Use the
with all my
survival
items
viewer
inside.
backpack.
Yep, that's right. Survival is fundamental to this mission. After you've been out in the field for a while, your stamina will start to drop. If your stamina gets too low, it'll affect your performance. You won't be able to shoot accurately, for example, and your wounds won't heal as smoothly. Keep an eye on your stamina so you don't run out. To recover lost stamina, you can hunt for local flora and fauna. You can use either your tranquilizer gun or your knife to hunt.
Why want to
My
go
only
hunting with a
weapon's Mark
spork?
22 Hush Puppy tranquilizer gun?
That's right. It's been fitted with its own suppressor. However, the suppressor will deteriorate every time you fire. Once its durability reaches 0, the noise suppression effect will be gone. So don't get too trigger happy with it. The suppressor's durability is shown in the icon. Any weapons and equipment beyond what you're carrying now, you'll have to find as you go.
I have to find my own weapons and equipment? Whose crazy idea was
Yeah, I wouldn't
this
be
anyway?
complaining. You start with nothing
Solo
but a
covert
pack of
actions are
cigarettes at
standard
the beginning
Fox
of Metal Gear
operating
Solid
procedure.
1.
You can't leave any traces of your presence. No weapons, equipment, footprints, sweat, or bodily waste. The same goes for bullets and cartridges, too. Your presence in enemy territory is already a violation of international conventions of warfare. There aren't supposed to be any American soldiers in Russia. It could spark an international incident. You can't let anyone see you. You can't let the enemy know you're there. This is a stealth mission. You're a ghost, Snake, in every sense of the word. And there'll be no rescue if you're captured. The military and US government will deny any involvement in the affair.
Then I'll just have to take care of myself, huh?
I'm afraid so. You've been given a fake death pill for that purpose. SIS guidelines stipulate that soldiers on
Yes,
covert ops
the
like
classic
this one
cyanide
issued
pill.
a potassium cyanide capsule. Tape it to your body so you can take it when you need to.
How generous of you.
Use it if you're taken prisoner by the enemy. It'll send you into a state of
Yeah,
false
this
death for a
mechanic's
short time.
not super
Fooling
important.
them
There's
into
only
thinking that I'm
really
really
like
dead.
1 or
So
2
how do I come back
points
to life?
in the game
Just
where you
take the revival
actually have to
pill.
use it.
You mean that thing you
But
put in
there
my tube
is
before the
a
mission?
sort of
That's the one.
strategical
Be careful.
value
If
to
you
this
remain in a state of
mechanic,
false
which
death for too
I'll try
long,
showing you guys.
Nothing will be able to bring you back. Remember that.
I'll keep it in mind. You said this was a solo mission, right?
Right.
I guess that means I can't count on any reinforcements.
Correct. The mission rests entirely in your hands.
A real one-man army.
Relax. There's a support team ready to back you up over the radio.
Who?
I'll introduce them to you. This time, survival is of utmost importance. The first member of the support team will be in charge of monitoring your physical condition, acting as a medic, so to speak, as well as recording your mission data. She's a member of Fox as well, and she's here on the gunship with me.
She.
Hello, Snake. I'm paramedic. Nice to meet you.
Paramedic.
As in a medic who comes in by parachute.
Aren't you going to tell me your real name?
Are you going to tell me yours, Mr. Snake?
My name, huh? It's John Doe.
And they call you Jack for short. You're a regular Captain Nemo.
A name means nothing on the battlefield. After a week,
Snake's
no one has
pickup
a name.
routine.
What's
I don't
your
have a name.
Jane
We're not
Doe.
gonna have any names
Very
once we've been
funny.
on the battlefield for
I
so
wasn't
long.
joking, but I'll tell you my name only if you manage to make it back alive. My frequency is 145.73.
She's also in charge of recording your mission data. Whenever you want to save, send a message over the reserved save frequency, 140.96.
So saving lets me record my mission data.
So yeah,
That's
Snake's
right. It also
quote
records the
unquote
state of your
real
health.
name, John Doe.
Good to know.
There's
It's
one more person
pretty
I want
much
to
just
introduce you to,
symbolic
Snake.
of it doesn't really matter what his
Speaking
name
of
is.
snakes, you remember
He's supposed
the
to
boss, don't you?
represent you, the
A
player.
legendary soldier
So,
and your mentor.
That's one way to
Actually,
sort
it
of
was
look
the
at
boss
it.
that got the DCI's authorization in the first place. She's going to be serving as Fox's mission advisor.
Boss is?
She also helped me plan this mission. She and I were at SAS together.
Jack, is that you? How many years has it been?
Boss?
That's right. It's me. Talk to me. Let me hear your voice.
It's been 5 years, 72 days, and 18 hours.
You've lost weight.
You can tell just by the sound of my voice.
Of course I can. I know all about you.
Really? Well, I don't know anything about you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Why'd you disappear on me all of a sudden?
I was on a top secret mission. You didn't need me anymore.
But there were still so many things I wanted you to teach me.
No, I taught you everything you needed to know about fighting techniques. I taught you all I could. The rest you needed to learn on your own.
Techniques, sure. But what about how to think like a soldier?
How to think like a soldier? I can't teach you that. A soldier needs to be strong in spirit, body, and technique. And the only thing you can learn from someone else is technique. In fact, technique doesn't even matter. What's most important is spirit. Spirit and body are like two sides of a single coin. They're the same thing. I can't teach you how to think. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. Listen to me, Jack. Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Having personal feelings about your comrades is one of the worst sins you can commit. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield. And politics are a living thing. They change along with the times. Yesterday's good might be tomorrow's evil.
Is that why you abandoned me?
No, it had nothing to do with you. I already told you, Jack. I was on a top secret mission. A soldier has to follow whatever orders he's given. It's not his place to question why. But you're looking for a reason to fight. You're a natural-born fighter, but you're not quite a soldier. A soldier is a political tool, nothing more. That's doubly true if he's a career soldier. Right and wrong have no place in his mission. He has no enemies and no friends. Only the mission. You follow the orders you're given. That's what being a soldier is.
I do whatever I have to get the job done. I don't think about politics.
That's not the same thing. Sooner or later, your conscience is going to bother you. In the end, you have to choose whether you're going to live as a soldier or just another man with a gun. There's a saying in the Orient, loyalty to the end. Do you know what it means?
Being patriotic.
It means devoting yourself to your country.
I follow the president and the top brass. I'm ready to die for them if necessary.
The president and the top brass won't be there forever. Once their terms are up, others will take their place.
I follow the will of the leader, no matter who's in charge.
People aren't the ones who
Sure about
dictate the
that?
missions.
Then who does?
The times. People's values change over time, and so do the leaders of a country. So there's no such thing as an enemy in absolute terms. The enemies we fight are only enemies in relative terms, constantly changing with the times.
Much can be
As
said
long
about
as we have
heroes and
loyalty to the
villains as
enemy,
well,
there's no point in believing in anything,
because
even in those we
one
love.
person's hero
That's the
might
way
be
a
another's
soldier's
villain.
supposed to think.
The only thing we can believe in with absolute certainty is the mission, Jack.
All right, but do me a favor.
What is it?
Call me Snake.
Snake. Oh, right. Your code name is Snake. It suits you well.
That's right. The legendary unit that the boss put together during World War II was a snake. The Cobra unit, a group of heroes that brought the war to an end and saved the world. As long as you've got a legendary hero backing you up, you'll be fine. Isn't that right, Snake?
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else I'd rather have with me. Oh, and one more thing, boss.
Yes,
It's good to hear your voice again.
same here. After all, who knows if either of us will make it out alive? Snake, you are always best at urban warfare and infiltrating buildings. But this is the jungle. Survival is going to be key. Those CQC techniques I taught you are sure to come in handy.
CQC. Close quarters combat, huh? I've been in the Green Berets for the past few years. I'm probably pretty rusty.
Not to worry. I'll be here to help you remember.
Yeah,
After
I'll also
all,
be
this
showing
is
you
your
guys a
first
few
actual survival
tricks
mission.
myself.
I'll be supporting you over the radio.
Where are you, boss? Next to the Major?
The boss is communicating with us by radio from aboard a Permit-class submarine in the Arctic Ocean.
My frequency is 141.80.
So that's
Call me
usually
if you need
the
my
frequency
advice on battle
dedicated to the
techniques.
tactical
Gotcha.
experts in the Metal
Your
Gear
mission is
games.
to retrieve Dr. Sokolov. Dr. Sokolov is being held in an abandoned factory located to the north of your current position. Avoid heavy combat and don't let anyone see you. Don't forget that this is a stealth mission.
Snake, try to remember some of the basics of CQC.
Right, so yeah, that's where that line comes into play whenever you see memes about people doing hand-to-hand takedowns on somebody else,
Mission.
and
Now,
somebody just throwing in the remembering CQC techniques meme. So yeah, that's where that line comes from. Alright then, so this is gonna about do it for part one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and this has piqued your interest for the series. So I'll be right back here with part two, which will be coming up pretty soon in a bit here. So see you guys in a bit.